Third, the hand. In success, dedication trumps money. Ultimately, we all measure our success in the world by how well we can balance different elements. The first is care for your environment. And when I say environment, I mean everything: your spirit, your body, your community, and your planet. And not necessarily in that order. Luckily, care for one can lead to care for the others. Another is love and time for your family and friends. And then there comes professional success. How much you accomplish in making your way. When we talk about success, that's usually what we mean, but it's only part. We're all seeking our own balance of these three things, but we live in tippy times. Every one of us, and you graduates especially, are going to be dealing with financial stress in the coming years. How, in trying times, do we muster the resources to follow our dreams? When Dad came to Oregon, he came with very little. He wrote, "Upon my return from Europe, then 25 years old, I packed up this theory about grape variety and adaptation to climate, and 3,000 grapevine cuttings, and headed north to Oregon. I settled in Silverton and found a small plot of land to rent, and I planted the cuttings to let them root while I searched for the ideal vineyard site. In order to pay the rent and quell the rising specter of hunger, I took a job in a Salem berry nursery bundling blueberry rootings for 75 cents an hour. That's about $5.15 an hour today. By spring, I was promoted to tractor driver at $1.25 an hour. While this was a great promotion, I knew it wasn't going to pay for my long-term goals. Then luck intervened again. A job selling college textbooks became available. The job was great. Not great money, but an academic working year, namely summers free to work the vineyard. I kept this job for 8 years, and it sustained our efforts of getting the family and the vineyard and the winery going. As our first vintage approached in 1970, I began to seek out lending institutions for money to build and equip a winery. No bank would loan me money. I had visions of leaving my precious crop on the vines for the birds to eat, but fate once again intervened. I managed to rent a 20 by 40 room in an old ag processing plant in McMinnville, 8 miles from our vineyard, for $25 a month. With 30 new French oak barrels and a lot of cobbed-together equipment, we produced our first 600 gallons of Pinot Noir that year. In 1972, we bought the entire building and have managed to make it both more attractive and more functional over the years. Our production has been a minuscule 5,000 to 6,000 cases per year for many years. While this amount wouldn't fill a transfer line at Gallo, we have deliberately limited our production in our vineyards and winery so that we can maintain an absolute control over the quality of every step. So Dad's limited resources had become a terrific asset. Circumstances required him to do the work himself, to be hands-on, and to participate in every step of the process from berry to bottle. Because he loved these aspects and learned from them, his wines showed incredible harmony. The calluses on his hands reflected the knowledge that he gained with every vintage. Dad was dedicated to the hands-on details of his art. He realized early, in the search for quality, personal dedication trumps financial might. His hands-on ethos was a great example to we winemakers who follow him, and it was one of his greatest legacies to us. Wine writer Matt Kramer said of him, "David Lett pioneered both Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris, the two grapes that define Oregon wine today. But just as important, he established the very tone of Oregon wine growing, artisanal, individualistic, even idiosyncratic. You can look at Oregon's 300-plus wineries and 17,000 acres of grapevines and trace it to Lett. But he left more than that. He left a uniquely Oregon wine genome, one that others now seek to copy." And going back to the three elements of success I mentioned before, care for your environment, love for your family and friends, and your professional success, well, the first two, care and love, don't require any money at all. And as Dad's example proved, professional success can be accomplished with nothing more than vision, dedication, and a willing hand. The heart, the head, and the hand. The heart, make space for the cosmic brick. The head, the value of education, is not the knowledge, it's the tools. The hand. In success, dedication trumps money. Before he set off for Europe, Dad scribbled a quote on the back of his travel agency receipt. It was from his favorite book, Henry David Thoreau's Walden. He wound up carrying this tattered piece of paper in his wallet for most of his life. Eventually, he gave it to me. The paper itself was too brittle to carry, but the quote still has all the strength and flexibility that my father found in it in his youth. Thoreau writes, "I learned this at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams and endeavors to live the life which they have imagined, they will meet with the success unexpected in the common hours. If you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be. Now put the foundations underneath them." So, on Dad's behalf, thank you for the funny hat. Like you should laugh. I recall that those are called mortar boards. When you're building those foundations and your castle's in the air, you're going to need that mortar. That mortar is strong stuff. It comes from here in your heart, from here in your head. With your hand, build them well, and your foundations will be strong. My father would have sincerely enjoyed offering this toast to you, and I do it in his stead. Class of 2009, congratulations and cheers.